Hey y'all. So I just got done doing a tarot reading. I just got done doing one. And I was supposed to actually do this video before I did it. But um, I'm here now. Okay? Here now. And I want to talk about something that has been, a lot of people have an issue with this in the tarot community because I'll see tarot readers who come here and they build these huge followings giving readings, and they have all of these people who, they look to them for their message or for their encouragement. And then they come in and say, well, I've been saved, or I felt condemned by the Spirit of God, or I went to church or I had this experience with evil, and now I'm no longer doing tarot cards because it's a sin. And I see in the Bible where it talks about divination or fortune telling and false prophets and all of that. Um, I just wanted to come with that. I want to come talk about that because I've been given, you know, just certain revelations. I'll say, um, I love reading the Bible. I absolutely love reading. So much knowledge in it. There is so much to learn in it. I love reading the Bible. So while I was reading it, this is where I get these revelations from. First and foremost, when it's talking about divination in the Bible, tarot cards were not around then. Tarot cards were not in use when the Bible was written. And I know God's word speaks, stands now, then, and forever. So, yeah, some things that were not even happening then can be prophesied in the Bible. When those statutes were written, tarot cards were not in use. There were other things that people did as far as like witchcraft and the fortune telling, where they would use mirrors and read tea leaves and um, even reflections in the ocean, those type of things. That was more so along the lines of what they're talking about as far as like witchcraft and divination in the Bible, because again, tarot cards were not in use. Tarot cards were first invented, they were not for fortune telling, they were used as a game. It was a game where you can kind of just like narrate a story about the people sitting, around you, playing the game around you. It was for fun. That's one reason why I put entertainment on my channel. All of my readings I classify as entertainment. I'm not telling you exactly what is going to happen in your life. All I'm doing is reading energy, because I do believe that energy influences every single thing that we do in life. So energy influences how I shuffle and which card I pull, because nothing is by mistake. Everything is set in divine timing. So which card I pull at this specific time, and the meaning, assigned to that card, or the meaning that I affiliate with that card, which is, it comes from my personal experience. These are all things that kind of tie into, energy reading. But I also classify them as entertainment because I am not God. I am not source. Not me and myself. I am a face of God. I am a piece of source, but I am not in entirety those things. So I cannot tell you what's going to happen to you today or what's going to happen to you tomorrow. I can read energy though. That's a gift that I was born with. I thank God for that every day. Now, back to divination. Astrology is considered divination. Yes, it is. But Genesis 1:14 says that God made the lighter, or made the lesser lights, stars, to give us signs. You can go check that yourself. So it's in the Bible that God created the stars to give us signs. No, not literally zodiac signs. No. But zodiac signs are in a certain place out in the heavens. And when you reach that area, or when certain energies or certain planets or us, ourselves, Earth, when we go through those certain areas of space, it does affect the energy of what happens here on Earth. And it can provide signs. Just like the three wise men, if you are a Christian, The sign in heaven showing them where Jesus was a star. It was a sign. It was a sign letting them know that, okay, the Messiah has arrived, and this is what you follow in order to go see him for yourself. So God created stars to be signs, not just for the light power, because they're already dead by the time that the light reaches Earth. We use them for signs. So the simple act of astrology itself, which, breaking the word down, the prefix astro is like the stars, celestial bodies. The suffix logy or ology is the study of. So the act of studying the stars or studying celestial bodies is not sinful. People try to make it seem like astrology is the sin and astronomy is, good. Well, astronomy is more so like the rules or the laws of heavens. So basically, universal laws, laws of duality, law of attraction. That is more so astronomy. Astrology is more so studying the energy of these celestial bodies, or studying what happens whenever this celestial body is prominent to Earth, or whenever it is within our sight. When the naked eye can see Venus in the sky, what's happening? When the moon is full, what's happening? That's studying the celestial bodies. There is no sin in that. The sin is when you place these things above God. The sin is when you start believing in these things above God. That is why, and God knows that. A lot of people, God knows us. And if you do not believe in God's source, it's familiar with each individual piece of source on earth. So in summation, source would know us also. I'm gonna say God because I believe in God. God knows us. He knows each and every one of us, every part of us that's gonna be wrong, that's gonna do wrong, that's ever did wrong. He knows what type of mentality you have, whether you have the power, whether you have the mentality of a leader, whether you have the mentality of a follower. Most people are born into this earthly realm with the mentality of a follower. Or I'm not gonna say you were born, because babies, I feel like babies are very spiritual. Babies be knowing shit. I feel like you are taught, because of this earthly realm is full of people who still have a following mentality because of your parents or the family that you're around. People that you are raised up around are more than likely going to be of a follower mentality, and who are not aware of their power, and they're not aware of from which they come. They're not aware of their godliness. They're not aware of the grand expansiveness of source from which they come. They will have a follower mentality. God knows that. So in this book of laws that you should follow, it's going to tell you stay away from divination, because God knows that for most people, you're going to miss the underlying message. You're going to miss the power of what astrology is, or the power of what tarot card reading is. You'll miss the power of what reading tea leaves is. You'll miss the power of that, and you'll just start to idolize the person that's reading it for you. You'll start to subscribe and follow and hang on to every word of this tarot reader on YouTube, because you need this YouTube reader to tell you what to do next, instead of exercising the faith and power of who God created you to be. That is the sin. The act itself, owning tarot cards, I ain't killing nobody, I'm not hurting nobody, I'm not harming nobody having these cards in my hand. The tarot card itself is not a sin. This is not a sin. First off, it's a noun, not a verb. So this is not a sin. I cannot sin just holding this tarot card. What I can sin as is when I exert myself, or when I exalt myself, I should say, as this person who knows what God knows. If I was to bring you these tarot cards and I say, God has given me the power to tell you that today you are going to be this amazing businesswoman, and your business is going to shoot through the roof, and people are going to pay you what they owe you, and all of your invoices will be turned in. And I say it in a way as if I'm directing your life, and I'm telling you what's about to happen in your life, and I'm telling you what I want to happen in your life, and acting as if I already know and I already see the full picture. That's the sin. And when you go to these tarot readers and you hang on to their every word and you have to check the tarot reader's channel before you can make any moves in your life, when you're stuck and paralyzed, if this tarot reader does not post a video, that is where your sin comes in, because you have failed to believe in your creator. You have failed to trust in your creator. You are questioning your creator. You are making it seem as if your creator is not qualified to direct your life. That is where the sin comes in. So divination in itself, it is a skill. It is a spiritual prowess. It is a spiritual skill. It is spiritual knowledge, and all knowledge comes with a burden. Eve eating out of that tree of knowledge of life and death brought burden to her, because before that she was in blissful ignorance. And only God had to worry about what was going on or the dangers that come against you. She ate that fruit and it activated a part of her brain that began to see danger, that began to see negativity. And to this very day, we fight with that same knowledge of danger. We fight with the knowledge of negativity. We fight to realize that even though it looks in my bank account like I only have $2, spiritually, I don't have a worry. I don't have a care. But that knowledge of that $2 in that bank account is going to keep you bound in poverty. It will keep you bound in poorness, in a poor mentality, because you do not trust in what God has told you or what spirit is directing you to believe. You're going to trust in what your eyes are telling you. So when your eyes were opened to what's around you, when your senses began to take precedent over what God says in his word, that is where we fell into the burden. That is where all the bad things started happening to us as a human race. That's when we stepped out of spiritual and started to trust more in the physical. And divination is really no different. It's a spiritual skill, but people can make it into an earthly crutch. And when you make it into an earthly crutch, instead of leaning and trusting in God, that is where your sin lies. In God, knowing that most people will come and they will live on earth and they will not transcend to the spiritual. And they will say that they believe in God and they will say that they have faith, but they will never give the works to support it. They will never truly walk in the faith of knowing how big and how amazing and how grand and how powerful and graceful God is. They will never actually reach that point. They will never actually be able to prove that through their actions. That is why it's written in this book of laws that divination is wrong. Because the Bible also tells you that at a certain place, you are above all laws. That your faith has made you so great and you've become a friend of God, that you believe in God, that nothing that you can really do in the earthly realm can take away the fact that you are a believer and truster of God. But until you get to that point where you truly believe in God and you don't need nobody to tell you what's about to happen in your life, then it's like, no, you don't need to do that. That's not something I like. It's a sin. Then you're sinning. So when I do a reading, first off, at this point, I only do them once a week. Second off, when I was doing it regularly, I was never consistent, which I also think is a work of God. I was never consistent with it because nobody could ever get to the point where they become addicted to me. I wasn't consistent enough. For anybody to become addicted to what I was telling them would happen, or I wasn't telling them what would happen, I was telling them the energy that I was reading. Nobody could ever become addicted to hearing me read energy because I wasn't consistent enough, which I believe is a work of God. Thank you. I'm only here once a week to do this, reading energy, which is just like reading a sign. God gave us all spiritual gifts. He all gave us some type of gift, and he gave us all signs. Whether you are spiritually open enough to discern these signs, completely on you. Not on me, not on any other tarot reader. But just the act of me just trusting in the energy, trusting in this very moment that God allowed me to sit down and allowed me to have this quietness and this space and this internet connection to pick up a card and read, what I have associated with the card through the dreams that he has gave me, through the life that he has afforded me to have. That in itself is not the sin. Because when things are going uncertain in my life, I don't go pick up no tarot cards and say, tarot cards, tell me what's about to happen next. I go in a room, I get that Bible out, and I go to reading, and I ask for understanding. So I go to God for everything. And even before I got back into the Bible, I would sit with the issue and basically meditate on it and trust what source was given to me, trust those downloads. I was always trusting something higher than myself because I know myself enough to know that I'm gonna fuck something up. I know that myself can be destructive. I know that I do not make the best decisions. So I never trusted in myself. And that is where the sin comes with a lot of tarot readers. You go to trusting in them cards and you trust in your own understanding of what these cards are telling you, and you don't ever go to nothing higher than yourself. That is where a lot of the sin comes in. And once again, like I already said before, God knows who his people are. He knew what he created. He knows what he created. That's why he had to send Christ on down here, the first man to transcend it all, the first man to go from birth to death, believing in God, trusting in God, walking with God, never straying from God's instruction. The Bible says it's a sin. That book is just poison, in my opinion. The divine feminine is pulling you away. It's just a nonsense fight within. I feel you on that, but I can't agree with that. The Bible does say it's a sin, but I feel like there's a reason for that. Only because it's a book that cannot be read literally. I feel like everything when you read the Bible, you have to really be in a place where you can take some time and meditate on that thing. Because a lot of it, if you just take it literally, just like when it says the stars are there for signs, people literally think that that means that the stars are there to create zodiac signs, or many other things. When it says given to Caesar what is due, and you should follow all laws so that God can be you can be proven blameless. Of course, there was a point in time where like slavery was a law, and I don't feel like the Bible is saying yes, that was good, but showing that okay, you submit to what it is so that they cannot find you blameless. I mean, so that they cannot place blame on you or add to the fact that they already have hatred towards you. That's so that you can give that, the sin is already on them and it stays on them, and you still prove yourself blameless. Like it's just a lot. I don't feel like anything is as cut and dry as it says in the Bible, but I do feel like it is an amazing book. I love reading the Bible. I absolutely love it. But I just understand it from the point of me who used to be an atheist. I didn't believe in nothing. And then to the point, I understand it from a standpoint of somebody who went into understanding source and seeing things from a really esoteric, kind of point of view. It wasn't really it wasn't really a religious point of view. I understand it from those point of views. So when I go back into the Bible, reading it from a place of believing in God and believing of the being which was a Christ, not exactly how it's taught to people. It's just different. The divine doesn't, or should I say, wouldn't confuse us. I mean, that's everybody considers confusion at a different level. So who are you to say what is confusing to someone else? You get what I'm saying? If they're confused by it, that means that they could have much more to go on their journey to the point where they have the understanding to understand it. Because it used to confuse me too, but I hadn't gone through the things that I needed to go through to have understanding. We all are sinners and saved by grace, but God makes sin and save God all things. He both. God is all. God absolutely is all. God has duality. And when we are made in his image, that means we have duality too. And him being aware of that, he was like, well, let me set this framework so that the lesser part or the lower part of this person that would cause them sin doesn't get too out of hand. So let me set this framework saying that divination is something that you really shouldn't delve in, because if you are not as strong in the saved part of you or the higher man, then your lower man gonna go crazy, because this is the home place of the lower man here on earth. This lower place is this is where we thrive at. This is where the lower man thrives at. So without that book, or without those, that religious text to kind of tell you, okay, don't do this, that lower man will run crazy. You will never go to God, because people, it's so much on YouTube with tarot, you don't never have to pray again in your life. And that's not what God wants from us. I don't, yeah, you have to be kind of careful with the pronouns, I guess. Because I say him only because it's already established that this is what most people understand. I don't see God as a he or a she either, but it just sounds funny to say it. You get what I'm saying? It's more like a spirit, but it sounds funny with like it wants us. People gonna be like, it. So I try to reach people from their understanding. I try not to, go over people's heads, because that's not gonna really get you nowhere. You can know a lot and still talk in kind of like layman's terms. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to know so much that I miss everybody who I'm trying to explain to. But yeah, I can see that in you. Original poetry after dark. I can see the understanding in you, so I appreciate that. Or understanding. I can see it in you. But yeah, that's pretty much, what I came to say. Like, it's just been kind of hitting me a little deeper. So I wanted to at least put it out there. I don't mean for the live stream to be just, you know, super long in this, hour or 2 hour long debate. But that's what I believe. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank y'all. Bye bye.